they done an amazing job of doing a full circle of bringing it
Mm.
back and close, giving us closure on the original characters.
He'll always see Mr. Miyagi as his dad. That's why he has so much love and admiration for him. It's because it's a character that he didn't have in his life growing up. And to have that type of guidance and seek guidance, that's the first thing you want to do is like, the day we lose our parents is going to be very difficult for us because sometimes we look to them to say, what's happening? I'm lost. What do I do? And the first thing you do as naturally as a child is you look for your parents. And that's what he didn't have. He saw that in Mr. Miyagi. And but it just like, I'm tearing up now for talking about it.
What's happening, people? Welcome back to the Brothers Geek Out Reviews. And today we are reviewing Cobra Kai Season 6, Part 3, the finale of the Cobra Kai series that's had us engaged since 2018. That's put us on this adventure, that's revitalized the whole Karate Kid saga and finally ended has not finished the Karate Kid saga. It ended the Cobra Kai saga, but Karate Kid saga will still continue with Karate Kid Legends coming out later
Oh,
on
yes.
in this year. But it has finalized the Cobra Kai season. What an emotional roller coaster this put us through. What an exciting time, and what a great. I mean, we spoke about this from the beginning to now. One of the best 80s classics that they were able to bring back and bring back the same feeling. And, we've had a lot of thoughts about certain movies that they rebooted from the 80s or they're bringing back, and we have a lot of opinions about it by fans. But this is one show that they brought back, or piece of content that they brought back from the 80s, and were able to absolutely nail it when it comes to adapting it to modern times.
Mm.
So us brothers, we're going to give our breakdowns on it. We need to geek out about this one. We're going to give our geek out little thoughts and sessions about how it made us feel, the emotional roller coaster this last part took us through, and just kind of like summarize on the whole show in itself. But yeah, this finishes off. So part three starts off from where part two left us, which was this climax of the Sekai Taikai event, this Ultimate Karate Championship, which is based on the real Karate World Championships. But at the end of that event, there was a big Royal Rumble and someone ended up dying, which was one of the Cobra Kai students from Korea. So
Mhm.
this kind of leaves us on that cliff, starts off from that cliffhanger, and it got straight into how everyone's doing now, and then it kind of ends off with the finale, which we're going to get into. So this was an emotional roller coaster, man. Let's get into the geek out session. Let's geek out about this because there was a lot of tears. There was a lot of tears, and I have some criticism, and we'll talk about that later. But Kibbs, you expressed a lot of tears. There was some very emotional moments. There was a lot of closure, and we're not talking about like since 2018. We're talking about since 1985, I believe. When did the first one come out? Right,
85, yeah. I think it was
85.
85.
So we're talking about closure from 1985, and I have to say, before I pass it over to you, I have to say they done an amazing job of doing a full circle of bringing it
Mm.
back and giving us closure on the original characters from 1985, as well as this whole season was about new characters and new dojos and all that sort of stuff, which was kept us engaged and whatnot. They done an amazing job, I have to say, with bringing us back to the original characters, introducing new ones, but at the end of the day, closing it out with the
Yeah.
original characters, who I feel us fans who grew up with Karate Kid, it was what I probably wanted more than anything. I cared about
Mm.
Johnny, I cared about
Yeah.
Daniel LaRusso, I cared about Kreese, I cared about them more than I cared about the new guys who were awesome. I think they've done a great job with that.
Yeah.
But what was your thoughts on part three? What was your thought on the finale? Like what scenes? Let's geek out about whatever scenes got you, all that sort of stuff. We're gonna later on
Nah,
go on
let's.
with Easter eggs and stuff, but just let's
Yeah, yeah,
go
of
for
course,
it,
of course,
man.
of course. No, they closed it off really nicely, bro. Like, I really enjoyed it, bro. Like, don't get me wrong. I think mid-season, the first season was like Crybaby Daniel. Mid-season, like still Daniel trying to like I felt like the it was all based on Daniel and Miyagi though. It really took a turn where it went from Cobra Kai to that. And now to see that ending like full circle, all the original students that started with Cobra Kai to find themselves in the process and to see Johnny grow as well, was really good, bro. I mean, that last scene teared me up, when he goes, "You're all right, Johnny." And I'm like, oh my God, like, why did they do that for? Like, the montages were amazing. But yeah, no, them two scenes, bro, those two key scenes for Daniel and Johnny, first one of we got Miyagi, CGI Miyagi, which was still good. I still loved it, bro. Like literally, I don't know what it is about that dude. Probably because Dwayne has embedded it in my head that I see dad now.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. We
but his his knowledge and his wisdom, you know what I mean? Like, is
It's weird.
interesting to see.
His face looks like it has knowledge and wisdom in it, right? It's weird, right? It does.
Mr. Miyagi, man, just the best. And Pat, yeah, he's a comedian. So the fact that he did
Mm.
this character as good as he did, and the lessons that he brings to this as well. Uh, but really touching moment about you don't have to fight all the time. To let go. Like you don't need to fight. It's self-defense, yes, martial arts, but
Karate, yeah. But that's what
yeah,
karate is
but
about. That's what martial arts is about. It's the ability not to fight. You learn to fight so
yeah.
you don't fight. There's an amazing quote. I can't remember who it was. I feel it's like a Japanese martial art. It's about something about being a warrior in a garden. In, I'm butchering it, but being a warrior in a garden rather than being in a garden and not being a warrior, or something like that, or being a war in war without being a warrior, something like that. I kind of butchered the shit out of it, but it's like karate's philosophy, man. You
Yeah.
train martial arts, it's all martial arts philosophy and self-defense. You train martial arts to actually not to fight, to avoid the fight.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I think that's with life as well, Win, lose, doesn't matter. I love that. I just love that. I love that. Like these are t-shirt slogans, bro. You know what I mean? Like it's made me think about other uh I don't know. It's weird how a program like this, which is a TV show that some people may not have enjoyed when they were younger, but to see a continued story inspires you in so many different ways because you connect to those characters. You see yourself in those characters. I think that's the one great thing about movies is that doesn't matter race, creed, where you're from, whatever, that you see yourself in those characters, that you understand a little bit about them, about the struggle they're going through and why they are the way they are. Uh, Daniel was always looking for a father figure. That was his dad. He'll always see Mr. Miyagi as his dad. That's why he has so much love and admiration for him. It's because it's a character that he didn't have in his life growing up. And to have that type of guidance and seek guidance, that's the first thing you want to do is like, the day we lose our parents is going to be very difficult for us because sometimes we look to them to say, what's happening? I'm lost. What do I do? And the first thing you do as naturally as a child is you look for your parents. And that's what he didn't have. He saw that in Mr. Miyagi. And but it just like, I'm tearing up now for talking about it because I
Yeah,
know
I'm
what
getting
that's like for my kids.
goosebumps.
Because the first thing they want to see in the morning is dad, and when I'm not there, that's going to be hard for them. And I understand that much more now. And it's weird that Karate Kid still kind of teaches lessons along the way, along the journey, because the first person you want to see or first person you want to call is that.
Yeah, and,
Uh,
and and it relates directly with the scene that got me, which was Johnny and Chris, because he
oh,
said,
bro, that's
because
another
like
one. Yeah,
Johnny broke it down and he was like, I loved you, man. I looked up to you because he
yeah,
didn't. His father was basic. We saw it in this show. Like
yeah,
his
yeah,
father
yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
basic.
Exactly.
So Chris was almost that father figure to him, but also and we'll talk about this more, but Kreese, he took a complete turn as well. He realized how bad of an influence he was. He realized how bad of an influence he was. But that was the scene that got me when Johnny broke it down with Kreese, and you just see the vulnerability in Kreese where, the show's season two ends with my guy Kreese walking around with his boa, looking to stab up people. And when he realized what he done and he got someone killed, it really changed him. It really changed,
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
changed like that actually I'm wrong. This whole Cobra Kai philosophy, this whole thing that I've learned from his master in Korea, it was wrong. And I think this whole show ended up showing that Cobra Kai can change. You know, when the show started off with like Cobra Kai's can't exist, they can't change, they're the same, strike first, strike hard, no mercy, that can't change. That philosophy can change. You can still use the philosophy, but can change for good. And that's what the
Yeah,
show
yeah, yeah, yeah.
ultimately turn around showed. It's like, and it ended with Cobra Kai winning, saying, you can change. You as a human being, you can change no matter what you've overcome in life, whatever how you grew up and all your influences and all that sort of stuff, your enemies, people you don't like, you can change, you know. And I think that's what the show kind of ended with and show and ultimately turned around with, which was deep. Like
No, it was really good,
it was
bro.
definitely
That
the
scene
most
between them two.
emotional
Yeah,
one
yeah,
out the
definitely,
whole
definitely.
show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Out the whole show, that was definitely because I think Johnny deserved that, and I feel like we got close. Like this season gave me closure with Johnny. Like here's a kid who's gone through all the madness, and yes, you know what? Uh, Daniel did start most of the beef when you go back to Karate Kid and be like, this guy got some bipolar issues, man. He's starting bare beef for no reason. Uh, but it was really nicely that he got that closure, and we got that closure as fans as well, bro. Which really hit deep because I was like, Zach, man, uh, not Zach, sorry. Well, his real name is Zach, but William. Is it William? No, what am I talking about? Johnny.
Yeah. We
Uh,
getting these names
just
from.
I'm getting his names wrong. He really put his heart into that scene, bro. Both of them did. You know what I mean? And the heartbreak in Crease's face as well was like, I failed him. I
Yes.
failed him.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this scene is so deep. It's unbelievable. And it had me. It had me, bro. I was like,
It
something that
was
you carry with you for 35 odd years. You know, this guy was your hero. Now you became enemies. And now it's like, come on, man, please. Why?
because Chris and Miyagi both were like heroes in martial arts, like father figures. They're like war heroes. There's so much elements
Yeah,
of hero-ness to them, but obviously Kreese was influenced in a bad way because he actually remember the recaps of him growing up. He
yeah,
wasn't a bad guy. He wasn't a bad guy. He was just influenced wrong,
yeah.
and he unfortunately put that on influence on his students and whatnot. But that's what I'm saying, man. This show had a lot of closure on both Daniel LaRusso and Johnny. And these are the guys, and Kreese and Miyagi as well, right? Even though they brought him back and everything, Miyagi to come back and teach one final lesson.
Mm.
You don't have to fight, you know, you don't have to, this is not about, fighting. Uh, what do you say? Well, I can't remember the exact quote, but
Win, lose, doesn't matter. You
try,
don't have to
only
fight
try, or
anymore.
whatever. Yeah.
You don't have to fight. You don't have to fight.
So
No, no.
good. I mean, they like I said, the writers, I feel like spent a lot of time thinking about not just the nostalgia stuff. We're going to talk about that, right? But closure, because it's
Mm.
very rare that you get closure on characters that you
Yeah,
grew
bro.
up with. You know what I mean? Or even shows now, it's very rare that you get good closure where you're like, I think I'm good
Bro,
now. You know, I
they
you know,
here.
yeah, I
I feel
missed you
like I'm
guys, and
finally.
I
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Definitely
like
that. I
family. It's
mean,
weird because these shows you watch them, you get embedded into the character, and you're kind of like, I know you now. You're kind of like my friend. I want to know what happens. I want to make sure you're cool,
you
in a
cool,
weird
yeah.
way. Yeah, and
Now
this
that's
show kind
actually
of did that.
really good that they did that. They did that because, bro, as you know, with most of the Karate Kid movies, you just had Mr. Miyagi just nodding and then end the movie, and I'm like, come on, bro, what happened after? Like, is he okay? Is his leg all right? Or something like, give me some extra bits to, which I kind of like because it had us wanting more, and I think that's why the seasons work so well, bro. Because the story does continue. Uh, what a couple of seasons, bro. I gotta say, man, what a couple of
I
seasons.
have to say, like, I think I criticized season two, season six, part two, a lot out of all of the whole show the most because I just felt there was so much. Like, I felt like they took the cheesiness to just the highest level, right? I kept
Mm.
getting annoyed about the distractions, and I'm like, all right, enough, right? But then this season started, and I had some criticism, like it didn't hit me as hard. Something was missing for me. I don't know what it was, but the emotional scenes
Okay.
were emotional and I was very engaged and everything. But it didn't hit me as hard. I don't know what it was. I don't know what was missing. But I definitely felt it, right? I definitely felt it. Like, for example, when Endgame's finished, I had this feeling in my chest. I was so upset. Like, I don't know, so upset. I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to miss these guys so much. This season had me like closure, but I didn't have that same
Mm.
feeling. I don't know what was missing. And
Oh.
for me, I don't know if part two kind of took that away from me because I was just kind of like, oh, you're doing too much with this with the cheesiness. But to get the closure was like I said, I think they done it really well. I mean, like how amazing is it? Like I said, that they full circle round. You know, you
They did
start
a
off with
full
Cobra
circle, which was
Kai,
brilliant.
starting
So
with Johnny, and then you bring it around. And I'm glad. I have to be honest with you. I'm glad they've done closure on all the other characters, but I'm glad they focused the closure on Johnny, Kreese, Daniel, and Miyagi, and even Terry in a way. But I'm
100%,
glad
100%.
that was the focus of the closure because I have to be honest with you. If the focus of the closure was on the new characters, Miguel, and Tori and Sam and all them lot, I would have been like, cool, but I don't care much about them. Not in a
Yeah, yeah,
bad
yeah.
way. Not in a bad way. I'm just saying, like the people I care about is the ones I grew up with. Um, but yeah, I mean, look, man, there was some great emotional moments in this thing. I mean, let's kind of move on into the plot, into the
Yeah,
story and the character sort of development of this. So this starts off, like I said, from carrying on from part two, but there was a traumatic death in this tournament, which it was crazy. Someone got stabbed. There was no repercussions, right? They did cancel the
it's on live
tournament, but
TV.
it was on live TV, exactly. They did cancel the tournament, but they had an opportunity to get the tournament back if all the senseis were on board,
Yeah, yeah,
right? But what the show is started off with was the trauma that everyone was kind of going through. Because there was some
yeah.
PTSD there that everyone didn't want to kind of acknowledge.
100%.
There was this awkwardness of like, let's just not talk about it. We want to move on. Daniel was definitely acting weird and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone, but also everyone missed the karate. They missed the event. They wanted it apart, but there was this bad vibe that's in it now, which everyone's trying to ignore, but they can't ignore the fact that I'm missing this karate thing, right? So, long story short, they, all the everyone comes on board again to get the karate tournament going again. Terry Silver is just this weird sadistic psycho that just has this vendetta of winning. And look, we found out in this that he was dying, right? He had a disease and he was
Yes.
dying. So he just had this one last thing of him. Maybe it was his one last thing of maybe he can win something because he's losing in life. He's
Yeah.
losing in life and he's dying to literally losing. But maybe he just had this one thing in him was like, I can win this, right? Because he had his team, Iron Claw, whatever the hell they're called. So he wanted to revitalize it. So they do, but then they bring it back to the Valley, where it all started back in 1985, which is a cool, nostalgic moment. But my thing for that was like, man, you went from the World Tournament Karate Championship from Barcelona and now you're bringing it back to the Valley. Not even in Japan is even mentioned, like where karate, the
That's true.
birthplace of karate, like not even Okinawa, none of that sort of stuff. Taking it back there, it was like, oh, let's bring it back to the Valley, man. This is the base of karate or whatnot. But it's the base of Karate Kid. That's what it
Yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
for
That's
us
right.
and
Yeah.
in that universe. So yeah, and then throughout the story, we go through the emotional journey, and like I said, slowly getting closure, slowly getting change for each character
Mm.
throughout the episode, throughout the show. Basically, we're getting like the rivalries that were always there between the characters that we spoke about are slowly getting to a point where we're finding closure. We're seeing change in character, right? So Kreese was a major change of a character in this final part of the show. Considering he was a villain for the whole time, it was great to see him because he started off, like I said, as a kid, as a good kid. If you remember from the beginning of the Cobra Kai show when they done the recaps, he was a good kid. Remember, he looked after that girl, saved that girl from the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
bullies and
yeah.
all that.
Exactly.
So it was great for him to come back. He realized he was on the wrong path and everything like that. So I think his character development was a very strong one, man, because I feel like because he showed the vulnerability, man. He just knew that he failed, man. It felt so bad, and he lost so much respect for the people he wanted to help and the people that respected him, like Johnny, where he felt
Yeah,
like there was no redemption for him. Do you know what I mean? Like, because Johnny didn't
yeah,
give him that last, like, yes, there was the hug and all that sort of stuff, but he kind of still left him with like, I loved you, man, but you let me down, and there was no closure. But I think his closure was I need to finish off Terry. I
yeah,
need to
yeah.
protect these guys from the shit that I started, which was Terry, right? And I was laughing about this, but Kreese and Terry's death made me laugh, man, because I just feel like it was just like psh, everybody dies, explosion, big explosion on the boat. Um, And I thought that was quite funny. I was like, you know what? Yeah, there was something emotional. I feel like an emotional death would have maybe done it for me. And I feel like for me personally, a Kreese emotional death would have been something that would have got me, right? If anyone was going to die in this show, like, and give us an emotional closure and death of
Yeah, yeah,
someone,
yeah.
I feel like it could have been Kreese, right? And after all the redemption he tried to do and nobody really accepted, almost didn't accept his redemption, he does something heroic, which he did. He did something heroic. He kind of got Terry off their back for good. But it wasn't that emotional death, but it was an epic death, right? Big battle on the boat, two old guys throwing it down, and then psh, explosion, and everyone dies. Terry and Kreese, that's the end of them. They're dead. So that was an interesting character twist. That was an interesting end of those two characters, I would say.
That was his
Um,
redemption arc, though. He wanted to do something to protect those kids and realize what wrongdoing he did in the process. So,
those
listen,
kids will
man.
never know. Those kids will never
Yeah, they will
know.
never know.
Russo, Johnny, and Daniel, they don't know what Kreese actually did for them or did for them. Do you know what I mean? Because
Exactly.
he
Exactly.
got Terry off their back for good. He got Cobra Kai off their back for good. Because he even changed the teacher, the female Korean teacher, like because her granddad was basic, right? Even her perspective changed because he told her you could be who you want to be. Don't allow your granddad
Exactly.
to do.
Yeah.
So he literally got what Kreese did for them, and they don't know is he got that evil essence of Cobra Kai off their back for good. And even though I think he got rid of the evil essence of Cobra Kai as whole in this universe. So Kreese done an amazing sacrifice. I just feel like his sacrifice could have been a bit more emotional for me personally. It was just an epic explosion.
No, no, of course I know. It would have been better, but I think they had to cut it short quickly. That's the only thing. I feel like they didn't have enough time, bro. Like it's weird. You have 6 seasons, kind of let things kind of breathe, but it did have an element of rush to it. There's
Like
far
what? What
too
do
many
you think?
characters. When you have to focus on far
Mm.
too many characters, far too many closures, it just gets a bit long-winded after. And it's like, how do you honor it in a way where they both went out in a big bang? I think that's like a personal joke. It's we're gonna end this in a big bang. There you go. They did that, and then trying to do a closure for every character, which I don't think they did justice on, to be honest. Uh, Miguel, I wanted to see a better ending for Miguel.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is what the point is. A lot of the characters that they emphasis on, I can't remember all their names now, but a lot of them were just not really involved much. Like Hawk, a little bit here and there, his friend, the MIT guy, I forgot their names now. But they were just their background characters for this last part. But you're right, Miguel, his closure. I mean, well, I feel like it did. I feel like it did because he fought in the final fight, right? Because the story, like I said, it took us back all the way to the plot of the story took us all the way back to the Valley, and it took us all the way back to Cobra Kai, and it took us back to the original members of Cobra Kai, which was Miguel
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Tori, right? But Miguel most importantly, Miguel and sorry Johnny, and their battle, right? And I feel like that was cool because but don't get me wrong, I feel like for Robbie and them lot, I feel like it was kind of pushed away, like not pushed away. I feel like
yeah. That's
their
right. Yeah,
closure was a bit like all right, let's be done with you guys. You and Tori, you're gonna go live a happy life. You got sponsors. You're good, But I feel like it was focused back on Miguel because it started off with Miguel, right? So,
yeah.
um,
I was hoping that he would have got. I wanted an epic kind of conclusion for him. Where his life goes next as a martial artist and what he's learned, what he takes from Johnny's teachings and Miyagi-Do teaching as well. So uh, I don't know. I mean, I'm probably looking into it too deep, but those are the characters we started off with, right? So it's like,
it's true, but this is the thing. This is the thing. I'm actually not that upset about how their characters ended because I was more invested in my original characters, like we spoke about Johnny and
yeah,
Daniel. So okay, Sam and Miguel, Sam goes to Okinawa. Okay, cool. Miguel joins her for a couple months. All right, you guys are going to live happily ever after over there. And
Exactly.
then whatever happens, happens, right? They go to different schools, blah, blah, blah. I was like, all right, cool. I genuinely didn't feel like, oh, I wanted more from them, in my personal opinion. Like I said, Johnny and Daniel was where my emotions kind of, you know, landed. That's where I wanted thing. I
Hmm.
mean, look, Sam's character again, same thing. I think Miyagi, through the Miyagi teachings, it came down to like she understood it as well that she didn't want to fight, and Daniel was okay with that. So she kind of learned almost like Miyagi's philosophy without me having that vision of Miyagi. You know what I mean? Because she obviously she learned that through Daniel's teaching, and there was like a background learning of Miyagi's philosophy. But she was the one who decided I don't want to fight, and Daniel. I think before Daniel had that vision or that remembrance of Miyagi, he probably would have pushed back. But then because he got that remembrance of Miyagi's teachings, it was kind of like Sam learned what Miyagi was teaching through Daniel to Sam. You know what I'm trying to say? So I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
right, Sam, you're good. Like,
It
all right, Sam.
transcends,
Like,
right? I like that. Yeah, definitely.
yeah. So that was cool. Cool. Sam doing a thing, whatever. Tori, her emotional struggle that she's gone through with her mother dying and switching sides and all this sort of stuff, relationship with a thing. That final beef with the other girl on the other team, cool. That was sorted. That was squashed. I'm not really that invested. I wasn't really like hyped about it. And listen, my personal opinion, wasn't really interested too much, right? It happened.
Yeah.
Cool. Closure. Her and Robbie, they live happily ever after being sponsors and martial artists and whatnot. Cool. Same with Robbie. Like, listen, that battle, I love the little inspiration. He's doing it. Then he has the same moment as Daniel Larusso breaks his leg, go for the knee. I knew it when he was like, I got a secret technique for you. And I was like, he's gonna go for the leg. He's gonna go for the knee. Sweep the leg. What was it? Sweep the knee. No, sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg, yeah.
Obviously he done a different technique. And it was just a complete, what do you call it? Take back to the original Karate Kid, and we'll talk about those Easter eggs in a second. But then the final battle that they really emphasized it with Cobra Kai and Johnny fighting the other guy. I forgot his name. I got his name here. Hold on. Who's a real martial artist, Lewis Tan, who was sensei or the sensei of the Wolf team, right?
Yep.
So it was that final battle. Now look, final battle, cool. I My only criticism about that is that sensei from the wolf. Okay, he was a bad guy and whatnot. I just didn't think there was an emotional connection behind that battle. It was just like the final battle. Okay, but after 6 seasons of this anticipation to this final finale, for him to be the final bad guy or the final battle of the whole show, it was just kind of like, okay, you brought him in season 6 and that's it. I'm trying to say? Like, I feel like if it was like Terry or even Kreese, I would have been like, okay, there's something there. Like, this is a build up for 45 years or 35 years or whatever it is, 30 years, 40 years. But there was something missing. There was an epic battle and it was cool, but there was something missing there for me personally, just because I felt like that sensei was just like new to the whole game. Even if they built him up from season 1, I would have been like, okay, cool. But they only built him up from season 6. So I was just kind of like, it's cool, but it didn't hit me as much.
Yeah, no, it's very difficult for a character like that to be shoehorned in with all the other madness that's already going on, to make it like have feeling to it. I think that was just done to just try and kind of let's try and finish this off nicely as soon as possible, because I feel like them doing it in 3 parts didn't really work for me either. Maybe 2 parts would have been fine. 3 parts, nah. Like the anticipation of the season finale was like I think would have been digested better if it was 2 seasons. Uh, but again, he's a cool actor. I can't remember his name. He played Shatterstar in Deadpool, and he was in
Yeah,
Mortal
it's
Kombat. He plays,
Lewis Tan. Like, he's a real
yeah,
martial artist. Like
he's a real martial artist. Yeah,
I've seen him train, and the other girl, her name is Rania Valandaningham. I think she's like Pakistani or something. She played Zara or
okay.
Indian or something like that.
That
But
doesn't sound like a Pakistani name, bro.
no, she's like Indian or something like that. She's like they're real martial artists, bro. Like she's like you can see in their movements, right? Before I
Yeah,
even knew,
yeah.
you could see in their movements. And I know Lewis Tan from he was in Mortal Kombat and whatnot. But she's like a 6th or 4th degree black belt in Taekwondo and she does MMA and stuff like that. But my point with that, with the closure, like we got good closure, but my point with the final battle of closure would have been, in my opinion, better with Johnny and Kreese. So yeah, with Kreese and Terry, some kind of closure there, because yes, the whole battle was against Terry and all that sort of stuff. Like I feel like a final battle should have happened with one of them guys, and that's like it would have been done because they don't know. As far as I know, Johnny and Daniel don't know that Terry and Kreese are dead. So have they
Yeah,
got
that's true.
closure? Yes, probably they have. They've moved on and whatnot. But do you really have closure after whole 6 seasons of Terry coming back, Kreese coming back? He broke out of prison. We thought he was dead, but he's back. All that sort of stuff. Like, so they finally died. And these two, I don't even know if they know. You know what I'm trying to say? So I feel like that final closure should have been that would have been for them to be have closure, like, oh, Terry and Kreese are out of the picture for good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that's where I feel like they should have that should have happened there,
that would have been
basically.
nice. That would have been nice. But how much can you fit in, bro? And it's weird because the more we do what we do, the more I kind of see not the failures of not being able to do something in the way we would have wanted as fans, but as a writer and as a producer, as a director, to try and think, oh my God, am I going to fit this all in? And is it going to make sense? And then, you've got to make decisions where you're like, it's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, as much as we want those key moments to happen, it's just not going to happen. So it's
No, don't get me
interesting.
wrong. I think done an amazing job. I think it was amazing, and I don't know shit about writing, right? I don't know anything about it. But I just feel like for me, that part of the closure is not. I don't feel I just find it strange that that's finalized, right? Like I said, you've seen the whole season. People come back from dead and all this sort of stuff. It's like, oh my God, he's back. And then you finish this one and everyone looks like they got closure. But do you two really know if Kreese and Terry are dead? We know as in fans, but do you guys know? Is that still on Johnny and Daniel's mind?
Well,
Look,
I'm
by the
sure
end of
that
the
was
season,
on the. I'm sure they in the Karate Kid universe, they know, bro. They
yeah,
know.
I guess so. I
In the
guess so.
Karate Kid
I
universe,
mean,
they know, bro.
it ends off like I do like again. I do like the ending that Cobra Kai's exist. Daniel bought Johnny the club again, so he's
The dojo,
starting his
yeah.
dojo again. Miyagi though is still there as well, and they're still working together, right? It's about MMA. Well, when I say MMA, mixed martial arts, I'm talking about styles of karate, different styles and philosophies of karate. All of it matters. Cobra Kai was going to be the attack and Miyagi-Do is going to be the defense. And they, at the end of the show, they work together to have that, right? So that was cool. But they ended up in where did they end up at the end? And they were in a restaurant together. Can't remember, but anyway,
They were in a
um,
restaurant, yeah.
yeah. Other characters chosen, I mean, look, a great comeback. He had an emotional journey with love, finding love, being loved, and all that sort of stuff, being loved by someone. And he ended up with the Korean sensei and whatnot after
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah. So that was nice, little something for him. Nothing too much. I think that was quite simple, a little almost like a side character who was also very fun to have back and exciting to have back, and having his closure with love with her, which was cool. I mean, listen, we don't need the closure, but the wolf karate gang or whatever, the big dude and the girl, like they got battered, and that was it. The girl got battered. She deserved it. She had a bitch face and she had a bitch attitude, so it was kind of like good. You got your teeth knocked out. You relied on your looks and social media stuff, and you got your teeth bust out. The big dude, I felt bad for the big dude. If there's
I
anyone I
did,
felt
I
bad
did,
because
I
he
did. Because
got his sensei was a prick, right? He got battered a lot.
he was getting abused,
But
basically.
I like his closure in the sense that it was like, fuck you. He realized, like, you know what? I'm done with you, look. Fuck you, right? And he walked away from that club. And it's like, okay, I'm glad you realized and you walked away from it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it was good. It was good. I think for him, I just thought they would have talked about that mental health side of things where you're getting abused like that in any type of workplace or any type of industry that you're into, whatever you do, meaning like I just felt like they didn't give that closure to say, arrest that wolf guy. You know what I mean? I thought Sam would have said something as well.
That's true. Because after everything that we've seen with Cobra Kai and Kreese and how it messed up Johnny's life and all that sort of stuff, or kind of messed up Johnny's life, no, it's like we're seeing it happen again with the Wolf guy. One of you guys step in and say, no, like, you know what, arrest this dude, or students, come, you guys come with us. Like, because this guy's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
good for you and he's going to destroy your life. Now, we saw Big Guy walk away. But the rest of the students, we don't know what happened with them. It would have been good to like prevent what happened to these guys in Cobra Kai with them to say, look, we welcome you to our school and we're going to teach you a philosophy where you're not being abused by a sensei and whatnot. Because we don't know if that sensei is out. He lost the fight, but he's still out there teaching, right?
I
So
know, that's what
far
I'm
as we
saying. Like
know,
that's it's dangerous. It's dangerous.
exactly.
Look, oh,
So they should. I feel like they could have given us closure on that. Like if you're closing up this Cobra Kai universe and whatnot, then give us closure on it's not happening again to another student through this guy. So I feel like that was missing, but they were almost as bad as it sounds. Like they're going to be forgettable characters in this Cobra Kai universe, right? Um,
mm,
So it's kind of like you push it to the side. But the point of the whole show for me was like, you know, Cobra Kai and his philosophy and his abuse on children or this bad influence on children has messed up these people's lives and they're just trying to do better. So don't finish the show with another school doing the same thing and another teacher doing the same thing and not giving closure on they're going to be cool. Don't worry about them. They're going to be cool
yeah,
after
yeah.
all of this. So there was that. But, finishes off like that. What else was there, man, apart from the story? I think that was kind of like the gist of the story, right? I mean, great, like I said, great nostalgic moments, great sort of stuff, and then giving us closure, which was absolutely awesome. Um, why don't we move into I forget anything? Easter eggs and franchise reference because there was a lot. There was a lot, right? So shout
Yeah,
outs
yeah, go for it, bro.
to I'm gonna give a reference to shout outs to Screen Rant who put this out. They have 22 different Karate Kid Easter eggs and reference and callbacks to in this part, season 6, part 3, not to Karate Kid and also like 80s movies. So let's quickly go through all of them, right? So you got the return of Johnny's Cobra Kai buddy Bobby Brown. He was the priest that got them married and everything. So that was a cool little callback. You had callback to the All Valley tournament, right, in that same gymnasium and everything. So that was where it all started, and that's where it all ends. So that was pretty
Yes,
cool.
that's right.
You got Johnny's baby, who's named after Laura Lawrence, so it's based after Johnny's mother, who was
Yeah.
referenced throughout the show, which was kind of deep. Yeah, Johnny and Daniel's All Valley fight in the Sekai Taikai feature, so Cobra Kai containing more footage from the All Valley, so just going flashbacks to that fight and what they went through. You had Kreese and Johnny's Karate Kid Part 2 flashback
Mm.
with what do you call it? Remember at the end, beginning of Karate Kid 2, when he lost and Johnny Kreese, what do you call it, broke his thing and all that sort of stuff. So you had that callback, but that led to
It
the
was like the
emotional
slow
moment.
punch. I
Yeah, exactly.
was like,
But that led
come
to
on,
the
bro. Anybody could have missed
emotional
that
moment.
punch, bro. It was, it was. Wait, that
uh,
scene always gets me. As much as I love that movie, that it's like, come on, bro. He knew you were gonna do that straight punch, bro. You didn't come in with a hook or an uppercut. You went, no, you can just plainly see.
well, we'll talk about the choreographing of this show in a bit, but yeah, it references back to that. I mean, look,
Yeah.
those memorable scenes went back to the emotional moment between Johnny and Kreese.
Yes.
Johnny's good sportsmanship at the end of the All Valley. So, as you mentioned, when Johnny said to Daniel, you're all right, LaRusso said that back to Johnny, which was a callback to that exact scene. The return of Daryl Vidal, who was the referee of the whole tournament. He was in the original Karate Kid one.
Yeah.
So he was a fighter there. So they brought him back, which was kind of cool. They brought back a lot of characters. Robbie's Sekai Taikai injury, as we spoke about, exactly almost imitating what Daniel LaRusso went through, swoop the leg and whatnot. Same sort of vibe. He was lying down, injured and whatnot, having that memorable moment of just that moment of like how good he done, how far he came, and now it's all stopped because of because of this injury, right? There was even the exact same quote from one of the officials that said to him, "You did well out there, young man." There was the exact same quote that happened to Daniel LaRusso when they were like, "It's nothing we could do for your leg. You did well out there, young man," right? So the medic said the exact same thing. On that same scene, there was obviously, I was actually waiting for the Miyagi's heat massage for the leg and whatnot. And they all looked at Chosen. Chosen's like, "That's magic. I don't have that shit." So that was a little callback that they were, original fans were like, "Is it coming? Is it coming?" But there was nothing there. That's a Miyagi thing. No one could do that except Miyagi. Put it that way.
Exactly.
Daniel LaRusso and Miyagi's Dream, which was another amazing callback to just bringing back Miyagi, bringing back Pat, CGI, just having them fighting together was actually pretty awesome. I have to say, seeing Miyagi and his movements and everything was pretty awesome. And it just kind of took all the way up to Karate Kid 1 when Miyagi first saved him from Johnny and the skeleton crew, where they wore the skeleton outfit. And that was just a very
It's a
emotional
nice
moment.
little
You're right.
nightmare scene, you know.
Yeah,
It's a nice
yeah.
little callback. It's a nice little a memory that he still goes back to, bro.
Yeah,
So yeah,
exactly.
definitely,
Just
really good
PTSD,
scene.
almost like a PTSD of bullying, and it was, I was bitching about LaRusso in the first season or part one when he was talking about, crying about Miyagi and whatnot. But this scene kind of like settled that argument for me. It's like he loved him as a father, man. It's like, "I needed you,
Yeah.
man. I need you. I don't want to have." And I was like, "All right, you know what? You settled that argument for me. I can shut my mouth, actually. Yeah, I understand why you're crying about him. I saw it." So that was that scene. That was emotional. The ending of Miyagi-Do's impressive underdog run. So Miyagi, like Daniel LaRusso, started off as the underdog, right, in the old Karate
hmm
Kid. This show ends with, I think the commentators calls them the underdog of the
Yeah.
tournament or whatnot, the Miyagi-Do. So it kind of ends with that. Also, the final scene in Miyagi-Do, you see everyone doing the wax on and wax off and the painting. They weren't doing martial arts in Miyagi-Do. They were doing the original how Miyagi taught Danielson with chores, basically, which all emphasized into the training after. So that was a cool callback to that. Sam teaches Tori, Mr. Miyagi's drum, that little hook thing and whatnot, and the philosophy behind that. So that was
I love that. I
callback to
love that.
that. Daniel's final words to Terry Silver is "Cobra Kai never dies," and
Ooh.
that was pretty cool because it all starts with that and it all ended with that, and it was kind of trying to tell Terry that, like, almost like we're using Cobra Kai against you. You were the one who were Cobra Kai. You were the one saying Cobra Kai never dies. But really, like, he had his own vendetta and he's just using Cobra Kai against him. Like, we're going to use this against you. So they never die. So I kind of give him that fair that you're not getting rid of us. And we're going back to that. So that was pretty cool. Kreese and Silver's No Mercy. So that was pretty, that was their final moment. And when Kreese, remember, just before he threw the cigarette, because that's the philosophy of Cobra Kai, right? No mercy.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
before he threw the cigarette at the gasoline or whatnot, Terry was like, "No," and Kreese was like, "Mercy," and threw that. And that was the no mercy line, man. Really put into action and sacrificing himself. The best training montage. Look, that training montage with Johnny. Obviously, you had the soundtrack. Like, you're the best.
Yeah.
Karate Kid movies from that from by Joe Esposito, right? He was composed. Who was the
Hospital, yes.
right? And then obviously it was a massive throwback to Rocky as well, with the
Oh yeah,
jogging, the kids
100%.
following them, all that stuff. Listen, Rocky was emphasized so much. These guys grew up in the 80s, they loved all that sort of stuff. Really cool, right? I have to say, like, it was a cool, you tried to bring back an 80s training montage, very fucking cheesy in this day and age, but we see what you tried to do and it worked. It was cool. So that was a callback to Rocky and the old original you're the best soundtrack. The return of Lucilla Russo, which was Daniel's mom, and she gave what's it called, Sam, that necklace that that Miyagi passed on, which was, I
Yeah.
thought, was a beautiful touch on Miyagi's legacy. Miyagi was a father figure for everyone. He was a grandfather to her and everything. So that was a beautiful little touch. The story of Miyagi's wife. Cobra Kai introduced a new Mr. Miyagi story. So the story of his wife, what was it? While in town, Luiso gave her granddaughter Sam a highly valuable necklace. Oh yes, and that came from what we just spoke about, right? The necklace was
Yeah, yeah.
from Miyagi's wife, and it's now kind of passed down. Johnny's bloody nose from that. So that was, I think that was the same scene. Remember Johnny got a bloody nose and Kreese looked at him in the original and he was like, sweep the leg. Remember that? Oh, no, no.
Yeah,
Was
yeah,
that,
yeah.
was it him to sweep the leg? I think it was that. But yeah, it was the same sort of reference by that. This is almost exactly what happened to Johnny during the Daniels fight in the Karate Kid, original Karate Kid. And then the last three, so number three, Johnny letting Sensei Wolf strike first. So Daniel's opponent, he only won their match at the 1984 All Valley tournament because Daniel refused to rush in and got him into the Crane Cup thing. So that
Mm.
strike first, some philosophy, he didn't follow that. He let, because that's the philosophy of Miyagi though, like defense. So he kind of like he used his philosophy of strike first against his opponent and let him strike first so he can counter. Number two, you're right, Lawrence, as we mentioned, man. So Danny says, call back to when Lawrence said to Daniel, you're right, LaRusso. This was a callback to finish that all off at the same tournament. And LaRusso saying, you're right, Lawrence. And then number one was Daniel, Johnny, and Johnny trying to catch the fly with the chopsticks at the end. Daniel catch,
I love
he's
that.
having that moment again, and then Bing just claps the fly and there's butters and whatnot. So those were like a lot of good Easter eggs. There's a lot, man. And shout out to get Screen Rant for putting them up there. But there was a lot, and it was fun. It's always great to bring those sort of things back. Moving on to cinematography and direction before we kind of finish off. So here is what I wanted to talk about: all those nostalgic moments and also the choreography and the shooting of the show. Like I had a moment of like, and this is why I'm glad it's over, right? Because I feel like you guys rinsed the nostalgia. Every little part of nostalgia, you took it and you rinsed it and you used it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
cool. But I don't know if I was, and maybe I had a feeling of I'm all nostalgia out. I don't know if that's a word. But you know what I mean? You're kind of like, you're taking that, you're taking this, you're taking that, you're bringing that back, you're back. It's all cool, it's all cool. At what point does it get too much? That's why I feel like this. I'm glad it's over. For me personally, I'm kind of glad
Mm.
it's over because all the nostalgic moments are awesome. But at what point is enough, right? When do you move on from the originals? Now it's always cool, it's always fun, and I always loved it. But I feel like if there was another season, another two more seasons with just too much nostalgia bringing back, it's like, allow it. Enough is enough. So I feel like I was all nostalgia out, and I feel like this was the perfect ending to all the nostalgia, which is great. Now come to the choreographing. I've spoken about this before in the past about the martial arts. Listen, I could criticize the martial arts. I train martial arts. I've competed before as well. I watch MMA, all that sort of stuff. Of course, none of them can fight. Right? The only two, like I said, that I really saw who really have martial arts experience is Louis Tan, the Sensei Wolf, and the girl Rania. Right? They're
Yeah,
legit
yeah,
martial artists, right? So that last fight between Johnny and the Wolf Master, I was like, in reality, that guy would destroy Johnny, right? Ages against him and everything. Johnny can't move. His punches and kicks and all that stuff. Like the pad work all makes me laugh. But listen, I'm not trying to criticize that in a bad way. It's just like, okay, I can tell, but I accept it because of the universe that we're in. I mean, look, bro, like you throw spinning kicks like beautifully, right? You get all that sort of stuff. You can see when they're throwing the spinning kick, you're like, eh.
yeah. It's so true though. It's so true. Uh, so martial arts is something that you could see, and as you said, there's only a couple of characters that can do that. Even Miguel, bro. Like Miguel has like advanced over the years he's done this. Same thing with who's the other character?
Hawk. Hawk was good. He had
Hawk,
some
bro.
movement,
Hawk,
yeah.
yeah, Hawk. So you kind of see a lot of them that have progressed in that, but then you can see like the ones that are like that's not there's you you kind of think Daniel like excuse me Daniel, please.
Exactly.
You're the Karate Kid, man. Come on, man. I thought you had this in your daily regime by now, bro. He's still kind
Yeah.
of like you can see the stiffness in him. Johnny was amazing in the original Karate Kid. He was actually a good. He looked like he did martial arts during that era. Uh,
Yeah.
but then again, man, you get stiff, you get old, bro. You know, and them boys are in their
Maybe.
60s, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Them boys are in their
Yeah.
60s and they're still doing it. I'm gonna rate them for that.
Of
Uh,
course. Listen, I'm not saying I'm not trying to criticize their movements because they're still doing it. Listen, I'm 40 years old and I'm yet like yesterday's wrestling training was horrendous and I'm trying to keep up with these young people's. I get it. What I'm just saying, like from a visual perspective, look, fighting is ugly. Bruce Lee said it. Fighting, the element of fighting is ugly, right? Choreographed fighting and style fighting is beautiful to see and whatnot, but fighting itself is ugly, right? But when you see high level martial artists fight, say in the UFC, well, some of them are beautiful to watch, but some of them are ugly. There's the current
Yeah,
middleweight champion. His name is we call him DDP for short, right?
yeah.
Dracus Duplessis. He's from South Africa. His fighting style is so ugly, but he's a world champion. Right? Dana White. This is Dana White's word. Who's the CEO of the UFC. He goes, DDP fights like a white man dances. Right? That's his words, not mine. But when you watch him fight, it's so ugly, but it works for him, and he's a world champion legitimately. Right? So fighting is ugly, but then you do have masters who make it look beautiful as well.
Yeah.
But just say it like, yeah, when you watch a choreography in this and whatnot, it's very 80s style, it's very old school style. It's not in the new advanced John Wick or Iko Iwaz or Tony Jaa type martial arts fighting.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
still
yeah, yeah.
like American karate 80s fighting style, which is cool, right? I don't have nothing bad about saying that. It's just a style that they chose of doing. Yeah, I mean, anything else in the cinematography and the direction? I think that was,
No,
that
I
was
mean,
just my
listen,
thoughts
man, it's
around that.
still quite good visuals, like gives you that 80s vibe, the tone of it and stuff like that. So, shout outs to the like everybody who worked on it. Like, all I can say is thank you for bringing these characters back and the fact that me and the kids can watch it now and like we have a 40-year story arc and uh I do adore the characters of, Daniel LaRusso and Johnny. Uh I feel like even though it's ended, it's not ended. We still got more coming up later on with Daniel LaRusso, but I feel like Johnny's story arc is like it's finalized and it's nicely done and a great tribute, a lot of closure. No, it was good, bro, man. Definitely. I'm bro.
Yeah, well,
Listen, I suppose because we fans of that era, we're gonna absolutely adore this, regardless of how some people be like, "Man, that's fucking cheese," or this and that. And it's like, man, you guys have, something that Anthony Mackie said is people have just forgotten to have fun and to
mm.
take it so seriously. Yes, you either like it or you don't like it, but make that decision for yourself. You know what I mean? Uh, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I get to go back to that Karate Kid universe whenever I want to now. I can rewatch all of that whenever I want to now. When I feel like, I want to travel back in time, those episodes, those movies will take me back in time. So I will fully enjoy it.
100%. I
But
mean, look, this leads to our final thoughts and verdicts and whatnot. But I think what you just said is sums it up because when you grow up with your kids, and inshallah, when I have my kids and we go back and watch the original Karate Kids, it's going to be like, oh no, it's not over. Let's get into Cobra Kai. You know what I mean? So I think like this show kind of gave us so much to kind of go back on, and this is something I could definitely watch again in the future, but starting off from the original Karate Kid and leading on to this, which is what's amazing about it. We could definitely do. I mean, look, I think my questions to you on your final thoughts are like, do you think this ended on a high note, and do you think this sets up spin-off, right, for anything else? Now, like my thoughts are you didn't give us nothing that led to Karate Kid Legends. I thought there would be something, right? Because we know it's not over. But maybe this was kind of like, all right, guys, Cobra Kai is over. Karate Kid carries on. Two separate arcs or whatever you call it, right? So I feel look, I think this was a great ending. I think anyone can go back and watch it. If you just watch Cobra Kai and you haven't watched the original ones, you have to go back and watch the original ones, 100%.
yes.
If you watch the original ones, I love the new one, I love the original ones, you could definitely watch these and get the same sort of feel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but I feel like one little thing, you should have given us a little something because it doesn't end. But maybe it was just like, no, 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 we're done with Cobra Kai. That's carrying on with something else. You know what I mean? And we don't know
Yeah, I
how
think, and I
far
think that's
that
what it
legacy will
was
go.
because I feel like that's what the season did. I think what happened was that this slowly became the Miyagi Do show, and it wasn't Cobra Kai. And you noticed that as well. That was happening. But in between the season, once they started working together, it became Miyagi-Do and wasn't the concept. Like people were coming here to watch Cobra Kai. How is it Miyagi-Do? So I'm glad it switched it around and kind of like just put a step down it and said, you know what, let's finish this off where it originally started, and Cobra Miyagi-Do will continue to live on. And you know what, I think that scene with Miyagi will take a big impact because you know you don't have to fight anymore. And now he can accept the fact that he could be a good sensei. And I think that's what moving on, like what we saw in that trailer was like. He's not here to see, like Jackie wasn't there to see Miyagi. He was here to see the student. So
Mm.
definitely, bro. Definitely. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I am excited. But as for me, nice closure. One hell of a ride, man. You know, I'm
One
still
hell of
here
a
and I still
ride.
get to enjoy some of these amazing things that come up and bring my childhood back as well. Uh, yeah, it was emotional. It was emotional. It's hard to say goodbye sometimes, but sometimes you have to. It's not easy letting go. I think that's the main thing, and I think that's the one thing with like movies and TV shows and characters that are beloved to us is that we find it hard to let go. Because yes, we're actually going. What I've realized now about TV and movies is we're going with you on that journey. We're going with you with that journey, and there's going to be some things that are going to hit hard because it will relate to us massively. So it's what we take. It's weird, man. It's what you take from it, to be honest. It's really up to you. Like you make your own decisions, you make your, own path. But sometimes, you'll see something and it relate to you and you'll be like, and sometimes you want it to relate it to you. I think as viewers, we want something like that. It's crazy, bro. Like the psyche and the mentality of things at the moment now, because we live in a very strange time at the moment. But if there's anything I take from this season is definitely what Miyagi said, uh, and is that we're always constantly battling, regardless whether it's life in an actual fight, mentally. And I think Larusso was struggling mentally, bro, and that hit home for me because we are constantly battling, whether we're not sleeping and we've got everyday shit to go through, trying to be as good as you can be but not, you have your moments, It's like, why am I constantly, we're constantly in battle. I think that hit me that we're constantly battling ourselves. We're constantly battling ourselves. And then the fact that he said, you don't have to fight all the time. You don't have to fight. No, win or lose. Like some battles we're going to win, some battles we're going to lose. But that mental battle as well. Some of them we're going to lose, badly lose. It's how we can accept it and move forward. And I think that's what it was. It's accepting that and moving forward. Uh, that's what I'm going to take from this season and what Cobra Kai gave to me. But Miyagi's still teaching us to this day, bro.
Amazing. I think that's just an amazing thing about, especially these days, because remember, movies, TV shows, there's a lot of influence behind it, right? Be it this show, be it propaganda, all that sort of stuff that we talk about, right? There's so much influence behind movies, not just a story. It actually, like you said, can influence you in a certain way, be it good or bad, put your mind with good thoughts, negative thoughts, give you a perception on certain people, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And again, this show, like you say, there was a lot of life lessons. There's a lot of nostalgic moments, and there's a lot to take away. And like I say, it's over for a lot of characters. I don't.
Mm.
It's definitely not over for LaRusso because we're going to see him again. And I think the
Hmm.
Karate Kid movie is obviously is that. And the Karate Kid movie works for me because, or I feel like it's going to work for me because I have to be admit Jackie Chan, right? I'm sorry, but I feel like if you're going to move on with the Karate Kid story, just leave it as a show. But a movie has on an epic scale with Jackie Chan, cool, I'm in. I would like to see Lawrence back in that. I would like to because I think he's still involved. I don't think Daniel and Johnny. I don't think their story's done. So I would like to see Johnny back in the movie, not as a full character, but as a cameo. So I hope that's there. But yeah, no, I listen, man. What a great journey. All seasons were bingeable. And I think I binged all of them, which was great. That's how engaging they were and how amazing they were. That we binged through every time a new season came out or a new part came out. I was able to binge through it. That's how good they were. None of them made me feel like, oh, I don't want to binge through it. It always felt like bingeable season shows. I just didn't want to spread it out. So thank you to the Karate Kid universe, the Cobra Kai universe, to the writers. There's a lot. Normally I would go through cast, but I was checking IMDb. We're talking about 50, 60 people, bro, and the writers and directors and whatnot. So respect to all of you. Like, I can't read through all of them because we'll be here forever. But respect to all of you guys for putting this together. Thank you for bringing back such a nostalgic, epic memories and stories. And that was our review. That was it. That was our review, man. That was our review. Guys, hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed the season. Hope you enjoyed Cobra Kai and everything. Kibbs, why don't you take us out, bro?
No, definitely. Massive thank you to you all, as always, guys. That's our thoughts on Cobra Kai, and I think in general about the Karate Kid universe. So looking forward to seeing what's coming out soon. But as always, guys, massive thank you. Make sure you check us out on all the other streaming platforms: Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. Make sure you check us out on our social media pages as well, guys. Just type in the Brothers Geek Out podcast and you'll see our pages there. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, guys. That's the most important part. We need you guys engaging. So massive thank you for you guys to sit there and watch. It takes a second to just click that like button and drop a comment, even if it's an emoji. Just show us some love because we want to grow this a bit more. We want to grow the community a lot more. This episode, I don't know when it's going to come out. Is it going to come out what?
Monday? Come on, Monday.
Yes. So
4 days, 5 days.
you know what? I'm going to tell you now. So make sure you head to our social media pages now because when this comes out, we'll have a competition launch. We're giving away some Gladiator 2 goodies. So head to our social media pages and enter that. We've got a Blu-ray disc and we've got loads of goodies. Shout outs to the guys at Paramount. We're going to get that sorted out for you guys. So head to our social media pages, follow us there, and get involved in that giveaway. And I'll catch you guys up soon. One love. Peace.
Peace.